to get back in Northern Ireland. So what is the plan?
So I was thinking that we should just start off with all the faves. Taking the view.
It's possible you've seen countless videos about Stoicism, but let me tell you, this video stands out exceptionally, making it different. It contains a wealth of ideas and perspectives that are rarely explored. Therefore, I urge you to watch it with great attention, because within these words lie treasures of wisdom. In fact, we encourage you to watch it more than once, as each viewing could reveal new layers of knowledge. Additionally, we suggest you take meticulous notes of each principle we will share with you. These timeless lessons could be the compass that guides you towards a fuller and more meaningful life. So, let's start exploring the 50 Stoic principles that will change your view of life. Don't miss the opportunity to control your emotions. Now, let's discover your true potential. Principle 1. Learn to distinguish what you can control. The Stoics, like Epictetus, invite us to delve into a deep reflection on the concept of control in our lives. Cognitive science supports this notion by revealing that constant worry about the uncontrollable can lead to high levels of stress and anxiety. Epictetus left us a pearl of wisdom by saying, "Do not expect events to happen as you wish. Accept them as they occur." This implies that instead of fighting against the currents of life, we should accept them and focus on our actions and choices that are within our sphere of influence. Principle 2. Virtue as a guide. The Stoics believe that virtue is the cornerstone of a fulfilling life. Positive psychology supports this idea by pointing out that the pursuit of personal virtues is associated with greater life satisfaction. Seneca leaves us with a profound reflection. The wise man is content with being wise, no more, no less. This statement emphasizes the importance of living an authentic life centered on personal values rather than seeking external approval. Principle 3. The power of self-discipline. Epictetus reminds us that self-discipline is an essential pillar for self-transcendence. Modern psychology supports this idea by demonstrating that self-discipline is linked to success in life. His teaching, "No one is free whose mind is not like a master," urges us to recognize how our impulses and desires can limit our freedom if left unchecked. Self-discipline liberates us from the chains of our momentary appetites and desires. Principle 4. The transience of life. Marcus Aurelius invites us to contemplate the ephemeral nature of existence. The psychology of wisdom supports this perspective by showing that thinking long-term reduces concern for superficial matters and helps us deeply appreciate each moment. As the philosopher Emperor reminded us, everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. This declaration invites us to embrace the ephemeral and live with gratitude for the present. Principle 5. Practice empathy. The Stoics advocated for empathy as a pillar of healthy human relationships. Modern social psychology supports this idea, demonstrating that empathy enhances the quality of our social interactions and our personal satisfaction. Epictetus challenges us to put ourselves in others' shoes, saying, "We cannot control the thoughts of others about us. We can only control how we react and respond to them." By cultivating empathy, we become more understanding individuals, more connected to our environment. Principle 6. The power of positive communication. The Stoics valued positive communication as a way to improve relationships and promote harmony. The psychology of interpersonal communication highlights how positive communication strengthens bonds. Seneca advised, "If you wish to be loved, love." Practicing positive communication allows us to build healthier and more satisfying relationships. Principle 7. Respectful acceptance of differences. The Stoics advocated for respectful acceptance of differences among individuals. The psychology of diversity emphasizes how tolerance and respect for differences promote peaceful coexistence. Epictetus advised,
I started in an Amazon fulfillment center, and now I'm a UX designer for Prime Video. As a single parent, I didn't really have a path into my dream of becoming a designer. Amazon was known for their career opportunities. It was a lot better than where I was working at previously. Amazon basically paid for us to learn UX design on the job. My son will see what I'm working on, and he was like, "Oh, my mom worked on that screen."
Oh no, it looks like a good movie. And it's an 80s movie.
Let me tell you something.
Let me show you something, it's a good life, it's a good vibe, it's a good time, yeah, we live it up. Let me show you something, yeah, I said what I said, could be just getting started, come here, yeah, let me show you something.
Hello, Moto.
first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Practicing acceptance of differences helps us build more inclusive societies and relate to others in a more harmonious way. Principle 8. The power of gratitude. Gratitude is a fundamental value in Stoicism. Positive psychology emphasizes how practicing gratitude improves life satisfaction. Marcus Aurelius advised, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive." Practicing gratitude allows us to appreciate what we have and find joy in the little things in life. Principle 9. Patience in the pursuit of knowledge. Patience in the pursuit of knowledge is a value promoted by Stoicism. The psychology of learning highlights how perseverance in acquiring knowledge leads to greater intellectual growth. Seneca advised, "It's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Practicing patience in the pursuit of knowledge allows us to explore ideas and perspectives in depth. Principle 10. Empathy towards others. The Stoics valued empathy towards others as a means to strengthen relationships and community. The psychology of empathy shows how putting ourselves in others' shoes improves the quality of our social interactions. Seneca advised, "Man is sacred to man." Practicing empathy towards others helps us build deeper and more meaningful connections. Imagine you see someone facing difficulties on the street, trying to keep their spirits up. By showing empathy and providing assistance, you not only help them overcome the challenges, but also foster a warm and supportive social environment. This small act not only reflects the Stoic spirit, but also creates a deep connection between you and others, making life more meaningful. Principle 11. Mental discipline. Cultivating a disciplined mind is a fundamental principle in Stoicism. Cognitive psychology supports the importance of mental self-regulation. Epictetus advised, "You are a slave to what you do not control." Practicing mental discipline allows us to free ourselves from destructive thoughts and negative approaches, leading to a more balanced and mindful life. For example, when faced with a challenging situation, practicing mental discipline allows you to remain calm, rational, and focused, rather than succumbing to negative thoughts or reactions. This inner control leads to a more fulfilling and harmonious existence. Principle 12. Adversity as a teacher. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, considered adversity as an opportunity for growth and learning. The psychology of post-traumatic growth highlights how overcoming challenges can lead to greater resilience and wisdom. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Adversity is the test of a man. Only when he has been tested in adversity can he know himself. Through difficulties, we can develop and gain a greater understanding of ourselves." Imagine you are facing difficulties in studying and taking exams. Instead of fear and avoidance, you look at difficulties as an opportunity to develop knowledge and intelligence. Through overcoming challenges, you become stronger and have a deeper understanding of yourself and your abilities. Principle 13. Conscious decision-making. Conscious decision-making, emphasized by the Stoics, is essential for a meaningful life. The psychology of decision-making highlights how thoughtful choices can lead to more satisfactory outcomes. Epictetus advised, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Practicing conscious decision-making allows us to live in alignment with our values and goals. When you decide to learn a new foreign language to improve your understanding and expand your horizons, by identifying this goal and making a decision, you create a guide for a meaningful life and take the action necessary to get there. Principle 14, persistence in virtue. The Stoics regarded persistence in virtue as the key to an ethical and meaningful life. The psychology of morality suggests that living in accordance with our principles leads to greater personal satisfaction. Seneca advised, virtue is the only good. Virtue needs nothing else. Practicing persistence in virtue guides us towards an authentic and meaningful life. Imagine a person in a difficult situation at work. Instead of reacting immediately to a stressful situation, he decided to show patience and control his emotions. This helps him solve problems more maturely and maintain positive working relationships with co-workers. Through the practice of patience in virtue, he achieves personal satisfaction and a more authentic life. Principle 15, choose your response. Viktor Frankl demonstrated that even in the face of challenges, we still have the freedom to choose our response. As he said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is the power to choose our response. This principle reminds us that even in difficult circumstances, the power of choice and how we react is within our control. Using this power can transform how we experience life. Consider a challenging work situation. Instead of reacting with frustration, you can choose to respond with patience and problem solving. This principle reminds us that even in difficult circumstances, our power of choice can transform how we experience life. Principle 16, embrace simplicity. The Stoics, like Seneca, embraced simplicity as a way to find inner peace. Research on minimalism shows that having fewer things can lead to greater happiness and mental clarity. Seneca said, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." This encourages us to simplify our lives, free ourselves from unnecessary burdens, and focus on what truly matters. Imagine you decide to reduce the amount of furniture and unnecessary things in your home. As life becomes simpler, you find more time and mental freedom to enjoy the more practical and important moments of daily life. Principle 17, the value of reflection. Self-reflection, as proposed by Marcus Aurelius, offers psychological benefits such as reducing stress and anxiety. As he said, nothing happens to any man that he is not formed by nature to bear. Reflection allows us to better understand our actions, emotions, and thoughts, helping us make wiser decisions in line with our values. Reflecting on daily life can help us shape our thinking and actions in a positive direction, understanding the true value of every situation. Principle 18, willingness to change. Epictetus teaches us to accept what we cannot change and courageously change what we can. A positive mindset towards change supports this principle. Epictetus said, "It is not what happens to you that matters, but how you react to it that matters." By changing our perspective and actions, we can face life with more resilience and control over our circumstances. Imagine you're stuck in a difficult problem at work. Because you're stressed and upset about a situation you can't change, you decide to focus on improving your skills and reactions. In this way, you facilitate positive change and take control of your life. Principle 19, the importance of the present moment. Stoic philosophers highly value the present moment. Mindfulness psychology shows that living in the present enhances happiness. As Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. This principle encourages us to cherish and make the most of the present moment, recognizing that the past cannot be changed and the future is uncertain. Instead of dwelling on past mistakes or worrying about an uncertain future, focus on being a good person in the present moment. Principle 20. Deferred gratification. Stoic enjoyment can enhance long-term satisfaction. Epictetus said, "Temptation often comes in the form of an immediate opportunity to satisfy a desire. Practicing patience and self-control helps us achieve meaningful and long-lasting goals." Imagine you want to buy an expensive item. Instead of buying right away, you decide to delay the purchase and set out a savings plan. When you finally reach your savings goal, you can enjoy that item with satisfaction and pride for having waited patiently. Delaying gratification created a rewarding and self-fulfilling experience. Principle 21. The strength of resilience. Resilience is emphasized by Stoic philosophers and has been extensively studied in positive psychology. Marcus Aurelius advises that the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice. Cultivating patience allows us to face challenges with flexibility and strength. Through difficulties, we can develop and emerge as stronger and wiser individuals. Patience helps us not to confine ourselves to hatred and revenge. Instead of responding with injustice, we can learn to face challenges and grow. Principle 22. Continuous self-assessment. Stoic philosophers advocate for continuous self-evaluation as a tool for personal development. Self-awareness psychology emphasizes the importance of reflecting on our actions and behaviors. Epictetus advises, "Examine your words and deeds, and you will soon see in what direction you are moving." Practicing self-evaluation helps us identify areas for improvement and maintain the path of virtue. Imagine you often procrastinate on important work. By self-evaluating, you recognize this habit and begin to take measures to improve your self-discipline, thereby getting closer to your ethical goals. Principle 23. Self-compassion. Self-compassion is encouraged by Stoic philosophers in line with self-compassion psychology. Seneca reminds us that
wash dishwashers, use water less. At finished tabs, more success. Work well together.
there is no one more unfortunate than the one who never faces adversity. Practicing self-compassion allows us to treat ourselves with kindness and understanding, especially during challenging times. Instead of criticizing or asking them to change, we can listen and provide emotional support. This helps build trusting relationships and shows kindness and understanding to others during difficult times. Principle 24. The importance of continuous education. The pursuit of lifelong knowledge and wisdom is a fundamental principle of Stoic philosophers. The psychology of lifelong learning believes that continuous learning enriches our lives. Epictetus advises, learn, teach if you can. If you can't teach, write. If you can't write, reflect. Maintaining an open mind to new ideas and experiences helps us grow and mature as individuals. Principle 25. Effective communication. The Stoics understood the profound impact of effective communication. In the realm of psychology, communication is a key player, highlighting how clarity and empathy can fortify connections and prevent misunderstandings. Epictetus wisely counseled, "Speak and articulate what is more beautiful than silence." The practice of mindful and empathetic communication elevates our relationships, making communication an even more potent tool. Imagine you are attending an important meeting at work. Instead of simply presenting your opinion, you listen sincerely to your colleague's point of view and show empathy. This creates understanding and positive interactions, strengthens relationships, and shapes effective communication, helping to achieve the common goal of the meeting. Principle 26. Detachment from outcomes. Stoicism champions detachment from outcomes as a powerful means to diminish anxiety and suffering. In psychology, detachment directs our attention to the process rather than fixating on results, leading to heightened personal contentment. Marcus Aurelius' counsel, "Do not expect the fruits to be more than the labor," underscores the value of this approach. Practicing detachment liberates us from the shackles of worry about the uncontrollable, allowing us to find solace in the act itself. Imagine you are preparing for an important gym session. Instead of worrying about whether or not you can win, you focus on practicing and preparing as best you can. By separating your mind from the end result, you reduce pressure and find satisfaction in your efforts, leading to better performance and a confident mood. Principle 27. Physical self-discipline. Stoics placed great emphasis on physical self-discipline. In the realm of psychology, self-control emerges as a pillar of well-being, emphasizing how maintaining healthy habits can enhance our quality of life. Epictetus advised, "The body is the prison of the soul." By practicing physical self-discipline, including exercise and a balanced diet, we nurture our health and emotional well-being, fostering a positive mindset. Principle 28. Integrity in actions. Integrity in actions holds a central place in Stoicism's values. In the domain of psychology, morality underscores the significance of aligning our actions with our values to cultivate personal fulfillment. Epictetus advised, "A man's life is dyed by the color of his imagination." Practicing integrity in our actions enables us to live in harmony with our principles, fostering a positive self-image. If you commit to doing your job in the best way possible, even though no one else can see it, you are demonstrating sincerity in action. This helps you maintain self-esteem and a positive self-image, independent of validation from others. Principle 29. Mindfulness in daily life. Stoicism extolled the virtue of mindfulness in our daily routines. In the realm of psychology, mindfulness emerges as a transformative practice that reduces stress and enhances well-being. Epictetus advised, "When you wash your hands, when you have your meals, when you lie down to sleep, be aware of these actions." Practicing mindfulness in our daily lives unveils beauty and meaning in the small moments that enrich our existence. When you wash your hands, you feel the warmth of the water and the gentle feeling of the soap. This simple act becomes a moment of mindfulness, a reminder to be fully present in each daily task. Stoic philosophy teaches us to enjoy these small moments, find beauty and meaning in everyday life, enriching our lives. Principle 30. Time management. Time management is an important factor in having a productive and meaningful life. The philosophy of time emphasizes that organization and planning can increase efficiency and reduce stress. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Life is wasted by forgetting." Practicing time management allows us to make the most of one of our most precious resources, time, to achieve goals and live a more fulfilling life. For example, prioritization and planning help you make the most of your time reading, resistance training, and developing personal goals. This helps create a more livable life and reduces unnecessary stress. Principle 31. Generosity and kindness. Generosity and kindness are central values in Stoic philosophy. Positive psychology emphasizes that generous actions can enhance happiness and prosperity. Seneca advised, "Life is like a play. It's not about how long it lasts."
Unpredictability. It's a thing. With weeds, with market prices, definitely with the weather. So,
But how good it is. Practicing generosity and kindness not only benefits the people we help, but also enriches our own lives and makes us feel more connected to humanity. Principle 32, humility and success. Stoic philosophers valued humility even in success. The psychology of success suggests that humility can keep us focused on continuous growth and improvement. Epictetus advised, do not be concerned with the things you can't control, but with the way you handle the things you can control. Practicing humility helps us maintain a stable sense of self-worth and avoid arrogance and complacency. Principle 33, understanding the transience. Stoic philosophers recognized the transience of life. The wisdom of understanding this truth can lead to a greater appreciation of each moment. Marcus Aurelius advised, everything you have today belongs to yesterday. Tomorrow will belong to someone else. Practicing an understanding of transience allows us to live with gratitude for the present and face life with serenity. Imagine a beautiful sunset. It paints the sky with vibrant colors, creating a breathtaking moment. The Stoic wisdom of embracing the temporary reminds us that as the sun sets, this stunning scene won't last forever. Yet, it's in this fleeting beauty that we find the essence of life's preciousness. By appreciating the impermanence of the sunset, we learn to cherish each passing moment, fostering gratitude and tranquility in our journey. Principle 34. Virtue is the greatest wealth. Stoic philosophy emphasizes that virtue is the highest asset one can possess. The psychology of happiness highlights that living according to our values promotes greater life satisfaction. Seneca advised, true wealth is to desire no more. Practicing virtue as the highest value frees us from the pursuit of basic desires and allows us to find true prosperity in our moral actions. A clear example of this principle is when a person denies personal gain in order to do the right thing. They are not caught up in base evil and find satisfaction in true prosperity of the soul, manifesting true wealth that is not based on material things. Principle 35. Simplicity as elegance. Stoic philosophy venerates simplicity as the source of elegance and clarity. Psychological design supports this perspective, showing how a simple environment and lifestyle can enhance creativity and productivity. Epictetus reminded us that things are the way they are and not the way we should name them. Reducing unnecessary complexity in our lives allows us to focus on what truly matters. Principle 36. Strength in adversity. Stoic philosophers like Seneca believed that adversity can be an opportunity for personal growth. The psychology of resilience suggests that facing challenges can develop mental toughness. Seneca said, do not complain about your life. If you can improve it, do so. If not, accept your fate. Learning to confront difficulties with determination and courage can lead to significant personal development. A good example of this principle is Thomas Edison's journey in inventing the burning lamp. He faced hundreds of failures before succeeding. Instead of giving up, Edison used each failure to learn and improve. Ultimately, his patience led to great success, turning the burning lamp into an important invention in industrial history. Principle 37. The wisdom of listening. Stoic about 10 strong lessons that will give you the mental toughness you need to get through life's big waves. Being optimistic isn't the point. The point is to build strong mental models that help you stay strong when things go wrong. Last but not least, get ready to free your mind. You will learn 10 life-changing lessons from Stoicism that will help you break free from the limits you put on yourself. You can take control of your emotions and actions and drastically improve the quality of your life if you know how to pull the right mental buttons. You can become impervious to the chaos of the outside world by following the Stoic advice we'll discuss today. It gives you a peace and happiness that nothing outside of yourself can take away. It's a trip to learn the art of living a life full of virtue, knowledge, and unbreakable strength. Now, take a deep breath. Prepare to learn, feel more confident, and gain freedom as we explore the modern-day Stoics' knowledge. What if you woke up in a peaceful place where everything you own has a place and a purpose? Your heart is happy.
You can get 50% off premium plans for Cyber Week. What I love most about premium is its tone detector. I use it to rephrase my emails to sound more calm.
And your mind is clear. You know that the only things you can control are your thoughts and deeds, so you can face the storms of life with a strong heart. It's not impossible to reach these seemingly impossible goals. In fact, the way to a meaningful life is at the heart of both minimalism and stoicism, two philosophies that were created hundreds of years apart. Welcome to Minimalism and Stoicism, letting go for a meaningful life. In this video, we'll start a journey that will help you find a life that you not only live, but also love. First, let's talk about the growing modern minimalist trend. Minimalism is more than just a style, it's a way of life. It's about getting rid of the things that aren't important, the junk that makes our thoughts and places heavy, and focused on the things that make our lives better. Minimalism started as an art trend that emphasized realism and simplicity in the middle of the 20th century. It slowly crept into many areas of culture, such as music, building, and way of life. People are turning to minimalism to get back their time, space, and mental focus. They are discovering that getting rid of the physical mess helps them build relationships, follow their hobbies, and enjoy a level of depth that material things can't provide. Now, let's go back in time to the busy streets of ancient Athens, where Stoicism first appeared around the 3rd century BC. Like minimalism, Stoicism is about making things simpler, but its main focus is on making things simpler inside. The philosophy teaches that the best way to live a happy life is to build self-control, logic, and ethics. Stoicism helps people figure out what they can control and what they can't. It encourages people to focus on what they can control and let go of what they can't. Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Epictetus, 3 Stoic philosophers, taught us that what makes us happy is not what is happening around us, but rather our perceptions and responses to it. Letting go is what connects minimalism and Stoicism. Minimalism tells us to get rid of unnecessary things in our bodies, and Stoicism teaches us how to let go of mental loads and ties. Both philosophies are based on the idea that there is freedom in simplicity and separation, which means freedom to live a meaningful, happy life. We will learn a lot about the subtleties of both minimalism and Stoicism in this film. We'll talk about where they came from, what they stand for, and how they can improve people's lives. We will also talk about how to apply these philosophies to our everyday lives and compare and contrast them. For example, case studies and anecdotes will show us how these ideas have changed the lives of real people. Finally, we will talk about what we have learned and encourage you to start using parts of minimalism and Stoicism that work for you. As we begin this illuminating trip through the worlds of minimalism and Stoicism, get ready to have your ideas about what it means to live a fulfilling life challenged. To live a meaningful life, you need to plan ahead, be good, and be brave enough to let go of what isn't important. Let's go down this road together. Now, let's get into the first part of our conversation, which is about what minimalism is. The minimalist movement as we know it today did not start by itself. Like many other art forms that came out in the late 1950s and early 1960s, it has its roots in music and visual arts. It was not thought that art had to be complicated in order to be meaningful, so these types of art focused on using simple things. As time went on, this idea changed into living minimalism. People started to question the consumerist culture that ruled society in the early 2000s, which is when minimalism became popular as a way of life. They wanted a life that was less complicated and more meaningful, without all the things that come with it. This is where the modern minimalist movement got its start. It's a reaction to the excesses of capitalism and the search for happiness beyond material wealth.
This has been a fantastic experience. I would recommend these IMBA program for anyone. This is both if you're starting.
The fundamental principles that underpin minimalism will now be discussed in greater detail. To begin with, minimalism is all about making things easier. It means getting rid of the extra, the pointless, and the annoying things so that you can focus on what really counts. This could mean getting rid of junk in your house, making your schedule more manageable, or even cutting back on social media. Making a space in your mind and body that shows your values and priorities is what it's all about. This is the second core principle, being mindful. Making choices about what to keep and what to let go of is an important part of minimalism. It's not just about getting rid of things. Does this add value to my life? Does this align with my goals and values? Is what intentionality means. It means living with a purpose instead of just sliding through life. It's about making decisions that show what kind of life you want to live. In the third aspect, quality is more important than number. People in a consumerist culture are often told that more is better. This idea is questioned by minimalism. Less isn't better just for the sake of less. It's about having the right things. Instead of collecting a bunch of useless things, it's better to put your money into good things and relationships that will last. Let's look at the many advantages of leading a simple lifestyle while keeping these principles in mind. To begin, minimalism can help you think more clearly. Getting rid of trash and other things that get in the way can help us concentrate and be creative. Not having to deal with the chaos around us frees up our minds to think more clearly and make better choices. Financial freedom is another huge gain. By planning what we buy and putting quality over number, we can cut down on spending a lot that isn't necessary. There may be savings, less debt, and the ability to spend money on meaningful activities and hobbies. The environmental impact of minimalism is also favorable. Our carbon impact gets smaller when we use less. Making and throwing away things are two of the main things that hurt the earth. We are not only making our own lives better when we choose to live with less and make decisions that are good for the world when we do so. As with any trend though, minimalism has its share of bad press and misunderstandings. One complaint that is often made is that being able to choose to live with less is a luxury that not everyone can enjoy. Some people also say that minimalism can turn into another form of consumerism if people keep buying new minimalist things to replace the ones they already have. Some people also think that minimalism means living with very little, or that it's an answer that works for everyone. It's important to remember that minimalism is not a rule, but a tool. This is a way to make a life that fits your values and priorities, and can be changed to fit your needs and tastes. Although these complaints are important to look at, it is important to remember that minimalism is not a goal. Instead, it is a process of self-discovery and purpose. It's not a rigid set of rules, but a philosophy that can be changed to fit different wants and ways of life. Minimalism doesn't expect us to be perfect. Instead, it pushes us to make progress and be aware of the choices we make. In the same way, minimalism shouldn't just be seen as an advantage. The core principles of purpose and focusing on quality over number can be motivating for people from all social groups, even though some parts of minimalism may be easier to adopt for those in a more stable financial situation. It can be about making the most of what you have and being happy with simplicity, no matter how many things you have. To clear up the false idea that minimalism means living a simple or poor life, it is also important to note that minimalism is not always about having a certain number of things. Finding what is meaningful and getting rid of what isn't is what it's all about. For some, this could mean a home with only the things they need, while for others, it could mean a carefully chosen collection of things that make them happy and serve a purpose. Thanks a lot. The philosophy of minimalism is deep and alive, and it's more than just getting rid of stuff. It's about making a life with meaning, purpose, and happiness by focusing on quality, simplifying, and making smart choices. Minimalism helps people get clear on their thoughts, be financially free, and protect the earth. But, like any philosophy, it has its critics and people who get it wrong. You should go into minimalism with an open mind, knowing that it is a tool that can be used in many ways to create a meaningful life. As the movie goes on, we'll look into the old knowledge of Stoic philosophy and see how, like minimalism, it can help us let go of the extra in our lives, both outside and inside. Our discussion will focus on the similarities and differences between these two philosophies, as well as how they can be used together to make our lives more fulfilling. Stay tuned as we go on a trip through time and thought, pulling apart the threads of Stoicism and minimalism and stitching them into a fabric of happiness, purpose, and purpose. This is a call to rise to a life that is lived with awareness, integrity, and meaning, not just to purge or to be stoic in the face of hardship. May this trip make you think, question, and open up to the endless possibilities that lie in the simplicity and wisdom of Stoicism and minimalism. As we leave the modern rooms of minimalism, let us go back in time to the world of ancient times, where Stoicism began. Stoicism is a school of Greek philosophy that began in Athens in the early 3rd century BC. The Stoic philosophy was founded by Xenophon of Citium, who taught from the Stoa Poikile, a painted porch. Then, in ancient Rome, Stoicism became very popular and was one of the most important philosophies during the Roman Empire. Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius are the three most important people in Stoic philosophy. In his letters and writings, Seneca, a Roman politician and writer, talks about how Stoic ideas can be used in everyday life. Epictetus, a famous Stoic teacher, was born as a slave in what is now Turkey. His Enchiridion and Discourses are important works that provide useful tips on living a good life. Last but not least, Marcus Aurelius, who was Emperor of Rome, is sometimes called the Philosopher King. His meditations, which he wrote while he was in the army, show what he really thought about right and wrong, duty, and the meaning of life. The first of the Stoic principles that claims our attention is reason. To the Stoics, reasoning and reason were the most important things in the world. They stressed the importance of using logic to understand and get around in the world. People thought that this logical way of thinking would lead to virtue and peace because it let people make choices that were in line with nature and morality. The second idea is that you can control how responses happen. For Stoics, there is a clear line between what we can control and what we can't. We have complete control over our ideas, perceptions, and deeds, but we cannot influence the outside world. We can stay calm in tough situations by focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we can't. The third principle is to seek virtue as the best thing that can happen. Stoic virtue includes knowledge, bravery, justice, and temperance, in addition to moral goodness. They thought that the key to happiness and satisfaction was to live a good life that was in tune with reason and nature. So, how can this old philosophy help us deal with problems? Stoicism teaches us to separate ourselves from the chaos and look at things objectively through the lens of reason when we are confronted with difficulties. By doing this, we can keep our emotions from getting in the way of our decisions and act in a way that is consistent with our values. It tells us to look at problems not as bad things that happen, but as chances to learn and grow. Let's jump ahead to the present day. Even though it's an old philosophy, its ideas are still relevant today. Stoicism gives us a way to find our way through the storms in a world that is becoming more unstable and unsure. Cognitive behavioral therapy is a popular way to help mental health problems. Its focus on reason and control over responses is similar to this theory. Leaders in the business world are also using Stoic principles to make smart choices and build resilience.
From Central Ohio to San Bernardino and everywhere in between, Amazon employees
In their teams. This philosophy gives people who are interested in personal growth tools they can use to strengthen their minds and live purposeful, honest lives. Practices like writing, awareness, and self-reflection that encourage living in line with one's values are becoming part of everyday life. Stoicism is a philosophy that dates back to old Greece and Rome. It enables people to lead lives of happiness and moral integrity thanks to its central principles of reason, control over responses, and desire of virtue. It can be used as a guide in a world that is always changing, from the lessons of Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius to current psychology and leadership. As we learn more about Stoicism, it's important to remember that it's more than just a set of logical thoughts. It's a call to action. The message tells us to develop a smart and good mind, to know what we can control and let go of what we can't, and to see problems as chances to grow as people. This is a call to live wisely, as well as with thought. After going into great detail about Stoic philosophy, we now come to an interesting point where minimalism and Stoicism meet. Although they came about at different times and in different situations, both philosophies are based on the idea of letting go of things that are too much, whether they are material things or mental constructs, and finding a life that is meaningful, happy, and in line with our values. In the next sections, we'll look at how these two philosophies work together and how they differ, as well as how they can be used in our daily lives. We will talk about how the knowledge and virtue of Stoicism can be added to the purpose and simplicity of minimalism. These philosophies can work together to create a strong foundation for a life that is not only clear and strong, but also deeply meaningful. With an open mind and a desire to learn, let us start this journey of discovery. We should be ready to question our beliefs, break out of old habits, and accept new ways of doing things. The ideas of minimalism and Stoicism invite us to go on a trip that is both about letting go and finding out what is really important to hold on to. This journey isn't just about ideas, it's also very emotional. We are all being asked to think about the choices we are making, the lives we are living, and the values we are supporting. It's a call to let go of what's extra and choose what's important, to stop the noise and choose knowledge, to let go of what's temporary and choose what will last forever. Together, let us follow the path of minimalism and Stoicism to a life that is not just lived, but loved, not just endured, but honored, and not just short, but meaningful. At one point, Stoicism and minimalism stand next to each other as we walk the road of discovery. Though they came out hundreds of years apart, these two strong philosophies have a lot in common as well as clear differences. Now, let's take a close look at the tapestry they've made. Let's start with what they have in common. In the first place, both stress the importance of seeking simplicity and focus. Minimalism tells us to make our lives easier by getting rid of unnecessary things and clearing out our places. When it comes to our inner lives, Stoicism tells us to keep things simple by being reasonable and focused on what we can control. In both philosophies, we are told to get rid of what isn't important so that we can focus on what does. The second thing they have in common is getting rid of extra. In the philosophy of minimalism, This means getting rid of things that don't make our lives better. Stoicism is about letting go of excessive desires, emotions, and ties that obstruct our pursuit of virtue and cloud our judgment. Both philosophies agree that too much, whether it's physical waste or mental chaos, can get in the way of living a happy life. The third thing they have in common is that they both stress being happy inside. The idea of minimalism teaches us that happiness doesn't come from having more things, but from living a life with meaning. Stoicism, on the other hand, holds that happiness comes from living in harmony with nature and reason, not from receiving praise or money from other people. So let's look at the things that are different. The first difference is how they fit into history and culture. Modern minimalism grew out of a reaction against consumerism and having too many things. It was mostly popular in the Western world. But Stoicism comes from old Greece and Rome. It was an intellectual reaction to people's search for happiness and virtue in a world that was full of chaos. What's different about the second one is its reach and use. Minimalism is mostly about the real parts of our lives. It tells us to clear out our places and think about what we buy. Stoicism, on the other hand, looks at our internal ideas, emotions, and character, in addition to our outward situations. The third difference is in what drives each person. A lot of people who are minimalists want to make their lives more open, free, and sharp. It's about taking care of your surroundings. However, Stoicism has its roots in moral philosophy. It's about taking care of your soul and spirit. The Stoic is driven by a sense of duty to live in a way that is in line with reason and nature. When we think about these ways the philosophies are alike and different, we can see that they are like two sides of the same coin. They both show us how to live a simple, focused, and happy life. But they do it in different ways and with different tools. If you will, think of minimalism as a way to get around in the real world by clearing out our areas and narrowing our actions.
Now, Oppenheimer is yours to own.
The world will remember this day.
Stoicism is the guidance that helps us manage our thoughts, emotions, and character with virtue and knowledge as we travel through the internal seas. They work well together to make something powerful. Adding the focus and simplicity of minimalism to the wisdom and virtue of Stoicism can help us make a life that is not only clear and focused, but also deeply meaningful and in line with our greatest values. Not only should we pick one philosophy, but we should pick both. Let's instead see them both as helpful guides that work together. The guide of Stoicism will keep us on a path that is true to who we are and what we value. Let minimalism be the ship that moves us forward. Let's take a moment to think about this. Take a moment to think about the places we live and the things we keep around us. Are they useful, or are they just extra stuff? Now, look inside yourself. Consider our words, feelings, and deeds. Are they in line with our values, or are they all over the place? Let's take with us the core of Stoicism's call to knowledge and minimalism's call to simplicity as we move forward. Let's be like builders and carefully plan a life that meets our deepest needs for meaning and happiness. Even though the two philosophies come from different places and have different goals, they both aim to help us live a life that is simple and full of what's important. Minimalism tells us to clean up the outside world, and Stoicism pushes us to control the inside world. We discover a road that leads not only to simplicity or knowledge, but also to a life that is deeply meaningful in their convergence. As we stand at the intersection of these two philosophies, we have the power and the tools to shape our journey. It will be as unique as each of us, but it will be focused on the goal of a more meaningful and happy life. It's not always easy to go on this trip. Sometimes you have to be brave and let go. Each step we take on this road, though, weaves together threads of simplicity, knowledge, purpose, and happiness to make a fabric. Let's take the flames of stoicism and minimalism with us as we enter the world of practical application with open hearts and minds. Let us learn more about these old philosophies, combine their ideas, and live by their lessons. Let us keep moving forward by being thankful for the knowledge that has been passed down through the years and for the chance to make it a part of our lives. The actual application of these philosophies will be covered in the following section. We will talk about ways to incorporate stoicism and minimalism into your daily life, creating a fabric that is not only straightforward and wise, but also deeply and deeply meaningful. Thanks a lot. The merging of these philosophies into our daily lives is a crucial step on our journey as we make our way through the rich fabric that is minimalism and stoicism. Here is where the theory turns into practice and where we take the first steps toward living a more meaningful life. Let's get started by talking about how to put simple principles into practice in real life. First, clean up your actual room. Take a look at what you own and ask yourself if it serves a purpose or makes you happy. If not, you might want to let them go. You can take your time with this. Start with one room or even just one box and work your way up. Second, be aware of what you're consuming. Think about whether the thing is important and in line with your values before you buy it. You can use this way of thinking in other areas of your life, like partnerships and responsibilities. Last but not least, put quality over number. Spend money on things and people that will make your life better. This doesn't always mean spending money. It could also mean giving time and care. Now, let's talk about how to use Stoic philosophy to make choices and deal with situations. To start, work on the duality of control. Know what you can control and what you can't. Events outside of your control are out of your hands, but you can choose how to respond and what to do. When you're facing a problem, ask yourself what you can control and put your attention on those. Second, think about your values and make choices based on them. Stoicism tells us that being good is the best thing that can happen. Choose to act in a way that is honest, trustworthy, and caring. Lastly, regularly practice being aware and thinking about yourself. Take some time to think about the things you did, the choices you made, and the emotions you experienced. This practice helps you become more logical and emotionally strong. How can we find a balance between stoicism and minimalism for our own growth? All of this must work together. Stimulate your surroundings with minimalism to support your values and goals, and train your mind to be strong, focused, and good with stoicism. It's also important to know that stoicism and minimalism are not either-or ways of thinking. They are flexible and can be changed to fit your needs and goals. Be steady, take small steps, and be ready to change how you do things as you learn and grow. Here are some examples of real people who have combined the two philosophies to help you understand what I mean. Take a look at the story of Joshua Fields Milburn and Ryan Nicodemus, who are known as the minimalists. Their business jobs were full of stuff.
Introducing Finish Ultimate, engineered for the toughest conditions. Try burnt-on stains, old.
But didn't give them any meaning, so they both quit. They made their lives easier and more in line with their values by focusing on what they could control and following the principles of Stoicism through minimalism. Another example is businessman and author Tim Ferriss, who has been very open about how Stoicism has changed his life and the way he makes decisions. He has also turned to minimalism, focused on the most important things and people in his life that are in line with his values. Combining Stoicism and minimalism can be a great way to grow as a person and live a more meaningful life. By making our outside world simpler through minimalism and strengthening our minds with Stoicism, we can create a life that is not only free of clutter, but also full of meaning and happiness. As we come to the end of this part, I want you to take a moment to think about what you like about both Stoicism and minimalism. You should think about how you can apply these principles to your own life and how they can help you grow and be happy. Let's keep going down this path together, taking in the knowledge and usefulness that Stoicism and minimalism have to offer. These philosophies can make our lives better, help us let go of the extra, and give us a deep sense of meaning. Let's look at some of them. Before we go any further though, let's be honest. The path to combining minimalism and Stoicism can be very beneficial. There are some problems along the way, and we have to work hard, be committed, and sometimes be ready to leave our comfort zones. It's also important to remember that blending is not a goal, but a path of growth and change that never ends. The way we understand and use these philosophies will change and grow as we do. There is no one-size-fits-all solution, and we will never reach the state of minimalism or Stoicism. They are with us on our lifelong path to becoming fully human. As we go along this road, let's remember to be kind and patient with ourselves. It takes time to make changes, especially ones that affect how we live and think. We will trip and fall sometimes, and that's okay. The important thing is that we get back up, learn from these mistakes, and move forward with more energy and focus. We are not going on this trip by ourselves. An enormous number of people have gone down similar roads, combining minimalism and Stoicism in their search for a more meaningful life. We can learn from their mistakes and be inspired by their stories. It can also comfort us to know that we are not the only ones looking for meaning and happiness. Thank you as we continue to explore. Let's go across time and countries to learn more about the complex philosophies and religions of the East. With its thousands of years of history and thought, the East has a lot to offer people who want to live a meaningful life. It's interesting that Stoicism and minimalism are related in a number of ways. Let's look into these lovely similarities and see how they can make our lives better. Buddhism. The middle way is one of the most important ideas in Buddhism. This idea supports a road of balance and staying away from extremes, which is a lot like minimalism. According to the middle way, we can live a healthy life that is good for our spiritual growth if we don't indulge in either excess or frugality. The Four Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path, which are also part of Buddhism, are instructions for living without ties, which is a concept that fits with Stoic principles. The Four Noble Truths describe human pain and what causes it. The Noble Eightfold Path, on the other hand, gives advice on how to stop suffering through right behavior, right motivation, and right awareness. When we talk about awareness, Buddhism has a long history of focusing on the present moment and meditating. In helping people focus on the current moment and what really counts, these techniques are consistent with Stoic awareness. Focusing on our inner selves and letting go of fleeting emotions are two benefits of meditation. Let's talk about the Tao and Wu Wei when we talk about Taoism. Following the principles of simplicity, naturalness, and non-action is important in Taoism, which is similar to minimalism. Wu Wei means not acting or not doing. It doesn't mean not acting, but rather acting in a way that is in line with the natural flow of things. It's about doing things without thinking and living a simple life. Yin and Yang are also important in Taoism. They stand for balance and unity in nature. In Taoist thinking, this balance is very important. It is also similar to minimalism and Stoicism, which also try to find balance in one's life and emotions. Living in harmony with nature is another component. Following Taoism means living in harmony with the Tao, which is the basic idea that makes everything possible. The Stoic concept of living in harmony with nature to achieve virtue and happiness is very similar to this idea. Hinduism is another old faith in the East that talks a lot about Dharma and being simple. Moral responsibility is another name for Dharma. It is a way where focus and simplicity are very important. Following your Dharma means living a moral and purposeful life, which is similar to the focus of minimalists on being thoughtful. Non-attachment is also important in Hindu philosophy. The idea behind this, which is related to Stoic detachment, tells people not to let their material belongings or fleeting emotions hold them back. In Hinduism, yoga and meditation are not just physical activities. They are also ways to find out more about yourself and match your inner ideals. This is a lot like Stoic self-reflection and getting in line with what is good and reasonable. Confucianism. Finally, let us talk about Confucianism, which has a big impact on Eastern thought. Following the principles of minimalism, Confucianism's doctrine of the mean promotes balance and simplicity. Ren, which means kindness, and Li, which means rituals and right behavior, are also very important in Confucianism. In line with Stoic values, these ideas are about moral qualities and how to act in public. Confucianism also stresses the value of relationships and getting along with others. This shows how important it is for Stoics to be involved in their communities and know that they are part of a bigger whole. Finally, both minimalism and Stoicism have a lot in common with Eastern religions and philosophies. Mindfulness, balance, and not being attached are Eastern ideas that can be found in the principles of minimalism and Stoicism. We can focus on what is important for a happy life by following the advice of both Eastern and Western philosophies. Eastern thought is especially helpful because it focuses on personal growth, getting along with others, and how everything is linked. The lessons can be a great source of knowledge for anyone who wants to live a happier, more meaningful life. As we've seen, minimalism asks us to pare down our material possessions and put more emphasis on quality than number in our lives. Being logical, controlling our emotions, and seeing honor as the best thing is what Stoicism teaches us. Eastern philosophies, with their wide range of beliefs, can teach us a lot about how to live in balance with ourselves and with nature. As you go about your daily life, think about how you could combine these philosophies. For example,
there's never been a better time to do business in Western Australia. Our network of global investment and trade offices.
You could follow the awareness techniques of Buddhism, the easy action of Taoism's Wu Wei, the moral guide of Hindu Dharma, or the social ideals of Confucianism. Put these together with the simplicity of minimalism and the sense that makes sense of Stoicism. Let's not think of these philosophies as different from one another, but rather as colors that go well together on a canvas that we can use to paint our lives. Getting ideas from both the East and the West can help people of all ages and countries understand and learn from each other. You can find a lot of examples in real life to help you understand. Many people go about their lives without getting much attention. They live simple, good, and balanced lives. They are happy and satisfied not because they have a lot, but because they know what's important. It's not a goal to reach this unification. It's a process. Remember what Lao Tzu said, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. This information can be that step for you. Take what the East and West have to say and find your middle ground by simplifying, rationalizing, harmonizing, and finding your way. It might not always be easy to follow this path. You might have to make compromises and tough decisions. But in the end, it gives us something priceless, a life with meaning, happiness, and a strong bond with the world around us. Now that our trip through minimalism, Stoicism, and Eastern philosophies is over, let's take a moment to think about the rich fabric of knowledge we've shown you. We started off by learning about the history of minimalism and its main principles, which are to keep things simple, be purposeful, and put quality before number. We talked about some of the problems and misunderstandings about living a frugal lifestyle and also found the many benefits such as mental clarity, financial freedom, and protecting the environment. We went back in time and learned more about the deepest parts of Stoic philosophy, which comes from Greece and Rome in the Old World. We learned from Stoicism how important it is to be logical, to be able to control our emotions, and to see virtue as the greatest good. We looked at how Stoicism helps people deal with problems and how it is still useful today by reading the writings of philosophers like Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Epictetus. The next stop on our trip was the place where minimalism and Stoicism meet. We saw strong links between them in their search for simplicity, focus, and inner peace. But we also saw differences in their historical background, scope, and main goals. We talked about how these different philosophies can help us live a more meaningful life by cutting down on the unnecessary things in our lives. In addition, we talked about how to use minimalism and Stoicism in our everyday lives. We talked about how we can organize not only our real places, but also our minds by following simple principles. We also talked about how to use the Stoic philosophy to help us make decisions and deal with the things that happen around us. We saw cases of people in real life who have used both philosophies together to improve themselves. Our journey didn't end there. It got bigger as we crossed the ocean to the eastern shores. We took a look at some of the many Eastern faiths and philosophies that have things in common with minimalism and Stoicism. We found many beliefs that fit with minimalism and Stoicism, such as the middle way in Buddhism, Tao and Wu Wei in Taoism, Dharma in Hinduism, and the doctrine of the mean in Confucianism. Please don't let this be the end of your study. Instead, let it be the start. Think about how you can use the lessons you've learned from Stoicism and minimalism in your everyday life. Try out different things to see what works for you, and don't be afraid to change them to fit your needs. Different people have different ideas about how to live a meaningful and happy life. There isn't a single answer that works for everyone. You have to keep learning, unlearning, and learning again. It's a garden where seeds of knowledge from various philosophies can be planted, and with care and nurturing, they can grow into a life that is full, fulfilling, and in line with one's values and ideals. It is very important to realize that the things we buy, the praise we get, and the social standards we use to judge our own progress are all temporary. The happiness and satisfaction that come from living a life based on simplicity, virtue, and purpose are what last. Finally, let's carry on the knowledge that has been passed down for thousands of years. Let's carry the torch and light the way for each other and ourselves. Explore the world and learn new things, but most of all, look for value. As you go forward, may your life be like a well-written book, where the depth of its writing is more important than its size. May the ideas of minimalism, Stoicism, and Eastern philosophies fill every page of your life with meaning, happiness, and satisfaction. As the great philosopher Seneca once said, as long as you live, keep learning how to live. Let's keep learning, keep growing, and most importantly, keep moving through life with virtue as our anchor and knowledge as our guide. Thanks for coming along with me on this trip. Your way should be clear, and your heart should lead you to a life that is meaningful and full of happiness. Marcus Aurelius is one of the few people in history who has had such a lasting impact on philosophy and leadership. As Emperor of Rome and a devoted follower of Stoicism, his life was a living example of self-discipline and strength. Today, we'll examine his philosophies in greater detail, look at how he taught and showed self-discipline throughout his life, and find practical ways to incorporate his lessons into our own lives today. Stoicism.
That's right. It's magic. But it's not for everyone.
Definitely not for everyone.
Is based on the ideas of a school of philosophy that starts in ancient Greece and grows during the time of the Roman Empire. Because of what Marcus Aurelius wrote and taught, Stoicism became very famous. Epictetus and Zeno of Cithium, two early Stoic philosophers, made important additions to what we know about Stoic philosophy. As a philosophy, Stoicism stresses the importance of self-discipline, personal virtue, and strength. It offers a way to deal with life's problems, handle and control emotions, and find peace in the middle of chaos in the outside world. The Stoics think that we have full control over our own thoughts, deeds, and emotions, but not over the things that happen around us. The Stoic philosophy gives us a deep understanding of what it means to be human and how we are connected to and a part of the world. When things happen that are out of our control, we should focus on what we can do, like adopting principles like understanding, self-control, and fairness. The way of Stoicism leads to a life of moral purity, change, and personal growth. In the year 165 AD, people living by the Stoic philosophy reached their highest level of devotion during the Antonine Plague, which killed a lot of people in the Roman Empire. It destroyed the land, took many lives, and caused fear and chaos in the Roman Empire, which resulted in one of the worst depressions in history. During this crisis, Emperor Marcus Aurelius showed amazing leadership skills by blending his unshakable determination with the deep lessons of the Stoic philosophy. He got through the plague by using the Stoic way of thinking, which gave his people security, courage, and hope. The Antonine Plague, which was thought to be an attack of smallpox or measles, hit the Roman Empire with a force that had never been seen before. The plague quickly spread, destroying the empire's social and economic order and making the people afraid because of the chaos and doubt it caused. As a leader, Aurelius saw how important it was to have a way to guide people through this time of chaos and turned to the Stoic philosophy. He looked inside himself for knowledge and strength to help him face the task. Aurelius followed the practice of Stoicism, which says that you should accept the difficulties of life and stay good even when things go wrong. Stoic philosophers like Epictetus and Seneca taught him that virtue alone is enough to make someone happy. He also learned that real happiness and power come from inside a person, not from their surroundings. By facing the facts about the plague, Aurelius built up his strength and refused to let fear take over. Instead, he concentrated on his own personality and how he dealt with the problem, which were under his control. Marcus Aurelius set a good example by living by the Stoic values he believed in. He showed unshakable courage and strength by staying strong even when he was going through terrible things and huge problems. Even though it put his health at constant risk, he worked hard to meet the needs of his people, showing understanding and kindness through his actions. He told his people to be strong and find peace within themselves. There was a lot going on in his life, but Stoicism helped him find meaning and purpose. He knew that the plague was a chance to improve himself and help others get stronger. The situation acted as a warning of how short life is and how important it is to live virtuously. Through thinking about how life is temporary, Aurelius told his people to enjoy every moment, put virtue above financial gain, and learn to be thankful even when things are bad. The Roman Empire was strengthened and comforted by Aurelius's use of Stoic philosophy, despite the Antonine Plague's severe suffering. His guidance and strength made it possible for the kingdom to eventually recover and be restored. Today, the lessons of Stoicism that Aurelius taught us are still relevant because they remind us of the strength of the human spirit and the ability to find inner peace even in the worst situations. The worst time for the Roman Empire was during the Antonine Plague. Marcus Aurelius turned to the timeless knowledge of Stoic philosophy when he was faced with this terrible problem. With courage, strength, and knowledge, he led his people through the storm and helped them rebuild their lives. The Stoic way of thinking gives us hope by telling us that even in the worst situations, people can rise above their problems, hold on to hope, and win. Stoic lessons have stayed useful over the years and continue to give smart advice to people who want to figure out how to deal with the complicated things in life. It focuses on resilience, self-discipline, and other traits that give people useful tools for dealing with everyday problems, getting through hard times, and finding meaning in a world that is always changing and becoming more complicated. We will look at some important principles that can help us evaluate our lives, as well as the lessons of famous Stoic philosophers that can help us use the idea of Stoicism in real life. We can start a life-changing journey towards self-discovery, inner peace, and living a happy life by learning about Stoic philosophy. As you know, Marcus Aurelius, who was a famous and important philosopher, fully accepted Stoicism as his driving principle and lived his life according to its rules. Stoicism, which has its roots in ancient Greece and gained popularity during the Roman era, emphasizes the development of virtue and fortitude in the face of difficulties. The goal of self-mastery through self-control and discipline is at the heart of this philosophy. Marcus Aurelius, the respected Roman emperor, was the personification of Stoicism. He lived by its lessons and used them to handle the challenges of his life with unshakable strength and knowledge. Stoicism encourages people to find their inner powers and become more resilient. It also suggests that people improve their moral character by exercising moderation and using knowledge to make sure that everyone is treated fairly. The importance of resilience in dealing with hardship was also recognized by Stoic philosophers. Stoic principles give people the power to take control of their minds and, as a result, their ideas, emotions, and actions, which are always in line with their values and goals.
America's game is more than just a game. It's who we are. It's about teamwork.
Its core, Stoicism provides a complete framework for personal improvement and the desire of a good and strong life. Although we can control our emotions, thoughts, and actions, events and occurrences may be outside of our control. Humans are typically emotional beings. At its heart is this idea of Stoicism. As Marcus Aurelius put it, real power comes from being able to control your own thoughts and actions. We can get to this level of inner strength by working on our self-discipline. Marcus Aurelius said in his famous book Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This quote sums up the Stoic idea that we should focus our energy on controlling our thoughts and emotions rather than letting outside events dictate how we feel inside. During their reigns, great leaders often faced the hardest problems. Marcus Aurelius, as ruler of Rome, was no different. During his time in office, he faced many difficult problems and failures that tested his strength and determination. As Emperor of Rome, Aurelius had to deal with many difficult situations that required all of his attention and smart thinking. The Roman Empire was in danger of losing its security and wealth because of things like civil unrest, war battles, and unstable economies. Despite these problems, he faced them with unshakable resolve and a dedication to the well-being of his people. During his rule, Aurelius showed an unmatched ability to bounce back from losses. He knew that being a leader meant sticking with things even when they got tough. He never gave up on finding answers that would protect the empire's well-being, even when it meant losing battles or dealing with problems within the empire. His leading style was marked by his ability to keep going even when things went wrong. In addition, his spiritual beliefs, especially his practice of Stoicism, helped him a great deal when things were hard. Stoicism taught him to see problems as chances to grow and to keep his sense of right and wrong even when things went wrong. It stressed getting stronger on the inside and being okay with things that are out of your control. By using Stoic principles in his leadership style, Aurelius was able to deal with failures in a historical way, which made him strong and motivated the people around him. Despite the huge problems he had to deal with, he stayed committed to the well-being of his people. His dedication to good government and the search for justice was a driving force during his rule. Taking action to handle the worries of his people, he made changes to improve living conditions and promote the empire's overall well-being. Marcus's personal life was a great example of how well he could keep himself disciplined. Marcus was found to be humble and aware of how temporary power and material things are, even when he was emperor. Meditations and thoughts that led to constant self-improvement while seeking knowledge were important parts of Marcus's personal life. He was also a man of great character, which helped him make choices and act in certain ways. Aurelius rose to power as a leader of great strength and intelligence, leaving a record of bravery and kindness that will last for generations. As Marcus Aurelius showed, the world is still learning about Stoic principles. To develop self-discipline in our lives right now, we can use some of these same principles. Being consistent and judging yourself are two very useful ways to practice self-discipline. We can make it a habit to think about our values and life purpose every morning, just like Marcus Aurelius did. This will help us see how our actions and words match up with those things. The physical discipline of daily exercise not only improves our physical health, but also makes our minds stronger. Marcus understood the deep link between the mind and body and stressed how important it was to take care of both. Being mindful is another powerful way to develop self-discipline. We can better control our feelings and make smart decisions if we train ourselves to be fully present in every moment. One of the ideas behind Stoicism is to be thankful and try to be calm. Marcus Aurelius thought that noticing the wonderful and beautiful things in life, even when things are hard, can make you stronger and more resilient. We can become more firm in character by practicing thanks every day and keeping things in perspective. Last but not least, Stoic philosophy places a high value on society and relationship. Marcus felt that working together and helping other people become more self-disciplined could be very helpful. The Marcus Aurelius principles would need to be applied in order to take a critical look at Stoic philosophy as it relates to developing self-discipline in the modern world. Marcus Aurelius wrote a lot about how important it is to have control over your mind, which is the first thing to think about. During the meditation, he talked about how the quality of our lives is linked to the way we think and how important it is to exercise control over our thoughts. Marcus Aurelius thought that the only way to really be powerful was to be able to control our own minds and choose what we think. Marcus Aurelius said that our perceptions, emotions, and behaviors are shaped by the ideas we have. He understood that pain and the ability to live fulfilling lives can be caused by negative or useless thoughts. Because of this, he pushed for the practice of mindfulness and self-awareness, telling people to become aware of their thought processes and actively fight against false beliefs. To control our thinking, we need to be disciplined and alert all the time. It means asking the truth of our thoughts, changing the way we think about bad stories, and picking more positive points of view. To live a more fulfilling life, we can match our ideas with Stoic principles and have an inner conversation that is based on reason and ethics. Writing in a diary was a useful skill that Marcus Aurelius used. He looked at his thoughts and emotions every day, reflecting and introspecting to try to figure out where they came from and what impact they had. This practice helped him notice trends in the way he thought and change his ideas in a way that led to better ones. Marcus Aurelius thought that we could become stronger in the face of hardship by controlling our thinking. He understood that we can't control what happens in the outside world, but we can choose how to react to it. Whatever is going on, we can find inner peace and strength by actively focusing our thoughts on things like thanks, acceptance, and virtue. Practicing controlling our thinking is still useful and important in the current world. Being aware of our thought habits, getting rid of negative thoughts, and building positive perceptions are all skills we need to improve our health, endurance, and ability to handle life's obstacles with ease. Second, Stoic philosophy stresses the significance of taking what is outside of our control and refocusing on what we can change, our actions and attitudes. Stoics think that worrying about things we can't change causes us needless stress and anger. They instead say we should focus our energy on things we can change, like our own decisions, actions, and attitudes. We can be more flexible and keep our peace of mind if we accept that change and uncertainty are going to happen. When we look at the Stoic principle with a critical eye, it shows that our biggest power is the people we can affect. Focusing on what we can change and taking acts that are in line with our values are things we need to work on growing. Third, Marcus thought it was important to make plans and objectives that were in line with our values. To become self-disciplined, you need to have a clear calling, goal, and life purpose. We make good decisions and take good action when we know our values and make sure they are in line with our goals. Setting goals based on our values helps us figure out what's most important to us and gives us direction as we face the challenges of life. In line with our true selves, it helps us make choices and decisions that give us a sense of dignity and satisfaction in our purpose. We can focus our efforts and actions on self-discipline and personal growth by making our purpose clear and setting meaningful goals. Thanks a lot. Marcus Aurelius said that learning self-control is one of the most important parts of becoming self-disciplined. In order to develop inner strength and achieve personal growth, he thought, we must exercise control over our desires, urges, and emotions. Self-control helps us learn to wait for what we want, say no to temptations, and make decisions that are in line with our values and long-term goals. Self-control, according to Marcus Aurelius, is not about denying ourselves joy. Instead, it's about making choices that will bring you more happiness and help you grow as a person over time. By controlling ourselves, we boost our willpower and become more dedicated to our self-discipline road. Marcus pointed out that building up resiliency is an important part of Stoic philosophy. Stoicism teaches us to not be afraid of the problems and failures that come up in life, seeing them as chances to learn and grow. In this case, resilience means being able to deal with problems and difficulties while still feeling strong and stable inside. Marcus says that an attitude that accepts that life changes and is unpredictable helps people be resilient. Stoics know that we can't change the things that happen to us outside of our control, but we can change how we react inside of ourselves. When we accept that things will change and that the world is unsure, we build up inner strength that lets us handle the storm with strength and calm. In Stoicism, being resilient also means seeing losses and mistakes as opportunities to grow as a person. Stoics see challenges as chances to put traits like courage, determination, and patience into practice rather than as barriers to overcome. We build the strength to handle life's ups and downs by accepting difficulties as part of our journey. When we focus on the things we can control, we can focus our attention on them and feel better about ourselves. We become more resilient when we don't let outside events control how we feel. We can keep our inner peace and calm even when bad things happen because we are resilient. In Stoic philosophy, building resilience entails accepting life's flaws, seeing setbacks as chances to grow, and concentrating on what we can control. Before we end this video, let's look at 3 important lessons from Marcus Aurelius's most important work, Meditations, that can help us become more self-disciplined and understand how important it is to live a good and fulfilling life. The power of the present moment is the first lesson. Marcus Aurelius said in Meditations, "Do not bother yourself by picturing your life as a whole. Do not load into your mind the many and varied troubles that have come to you in the past and will come again in the future. But ask yourself, with each present difficulty, what is there in this that is unbearable and beyond endurance?" This quote sums up what it means to be in the present moment. Often, we can't be self-disciplined because our thoughts are filled with regrets from the past or worries about the future. Aurelius shows us how important it is to focus on the present moment. By doing so, we can break down seemingly overwhelming tasks into doable pieces and practice control and discipline in our instant actions. This focus on the present moment is a cornerstone of self-discipline, allowing us to take meaningful and virtuous actions without being overwhelmed. Lesson 2. Separation from outward approval. Marcus Aurelius was very aware of how short-lived fame and other people's opinions were. He wrote, "I have often wondered how it is that every man loves himself more than all the rest of men, but yet sets less value on his own opinions of himself than on the opinions of others." This observation highlights the human tendency to seek validation and approval from the outside world, often at the expense of our own values and integrity. Self-discipline, as Aurelius suggests, needs a separation from this outward reinforcement. Instead, we must focus on cultivating inner virtues and following our moral compass. This inner-directed focus enables us to make decisions and take actions that are in alignment with our values, rather than being swayed by the ever-changing opinions of others. It helps us to build a strong foundation of self-discipline, which is grounded in self-respect and personal integrity. Lesson 3. Adaptability and acceptance. One of the most celebrated quotes from Meditations is, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This quote is the epitome of adaptability and acceptance, 2 traits closely associated with self-discipline. Marcus Aurelius teaches us that obstacles and challenges are not just to be endured, but can be transformed into opportunities for growth and learning. Self-discipline involves the ability to adapt our actions and attitudes in response to the challenges we face. Instead of resisting or lamenting the difficulties, we can embrace them as opportunities to exercise virtue, to learn, and to grow. This mindset not only helps in building self-discipline, but also in fostering resilience and a deep sense of contentment. Marcus Aurelius's Meditations offer a treasure trove of wisdom for building self-discipline. Through focusing on the present moment, detaching from external validation, and embracing adaptability and acceptance, we can cultivate a form of self-discipline that is deeply grounded in wisdom and virtue. This self-discipline is not just about control, but about living a life of purpose, meaning, and fulfillment, regardless of the external circumstances. By embracing the core principles of Stoicism, self-mastery, acceptance, and resilience, we have the potential to cultivate self-discipline in our modern lives. Self-mastery, as Marcus Aurelius believed, starts with gaining control over our thoughts and emotions. By actively observing and guiding our inner world, we can shape our responses to external events and maintain a sense of composure and clarity. Acceptance is another crucial element of building self-discipline. Developing resilience, as espoused by Aurelius, is cultivated by reframing setbacks as opportunities for growth. By viewing obstacles as stepping stones on our journey, we can develop the strength and perseverance necessary to face adversity with unwavering determination. Resilience also involves maintaining a sense of inner peace and stability, even when circumstances are chaotic or unfavorable. To build self-discipline, we can incorporate practical strategies inspired by Aurelius into our lives. By establishing consistent routines, engaging in physical discipline, practicing mindfulness, expressing gratitude, and fostering communal support, all contribute to our growth and development. Ultimately, living a more disciplined and fulfilling life can be achieved by following the Marcus Aurelius principles. We can develop the strength and fortitude to navigate through life's challenges